Mount Wilson is the second highest mountain in the San Juan range and the highest peak in the westernmost group of 14ers in Colorado, which also includes El Diente Peak and Wilson Peak. In these images, the mountain is shown from El Diente to its west. The following views were taken from Wilson Peak to the north, this one of just Mount Wilson itself, and this one of the mountain along with its connecting ridge to El Diente on the right. The overall Wilson group of peaks is shown in this more distant perspective from Mount Sneffels to the northeast. This even more distant view is from Red Cloud Peak to the east. These images show successively closer views to Mount Wilson's summit from around 13,500 feet in Kilpacker Basin to its immediate southwest. The first known ascent of Mount Wilson was made in September of 1874 by a contingent of the Hayden survey that included Chief Topographer A.D. Wilson, the mountain having been named for him just prior to the ascent. Wilson's considerable accomplishments both before and after this include working under Josiah Whitney on the Geologic Survey of California in the 1860s, and then on the geologic exploration of the 40th parallel before his work with the Hayden survey. After this, he became the chief topographer of the newly formed U.S. Geological Survey, which consolidated all the individual surveys into one agency, and also worked as the chief topographer for the Northern Transcontinental Railway Survey. Mining activity took place throughout the overall mountain group during the silver boom when it reached the area in the early 1880s, with the most prominent mine being the Silver Pick, which was actually a gold mine and located in what is now Silver Pick Basin northwest of Wilson Peak. When Wilson Peak was named in the early 1900s, A.D. Wilson became the only person to be recognized on 2 Colorado 14ers. Like many of the 14ers, there's more than one non-technical way up Mount Wilson, but whatever the route, it is a difficult mountain to climb. On this occasion, I climbed the Southwest Slopes route on what happened to be the 150th anniversary to the day of the original ascent of the peak by A.D. Wilson's survey party. The North Slopes route was once considered the standard route on the mountain and can be accessed via the Navajo Basin trailhead, the Woods Lake trailhead, or the Rock of Ages trailhead. The route from any of these approaches involves well over 5,000 feet in total elevation gain, anywhere from about 11 to about 16 miles in total distance, and Class 4 climbing near the top. These days, the Southwest Slopes route is more widely considered the standard route. The route begins at the Kilpacker Basin trailhead, and although it has moderate endurance stats, it is defined by the challenging route finding, loose terrain, and Class 3 climbing up higher. These are the directions to the trailhead. The 5-mile stretch of dirt road following the highway turnoff is pretty passable and shouldn't be much of a problem for most vehicles under normal summer conditions. In this video, I will pick up with the narration toward the end of the approach hike near 12,600 feet where the routes to El Diente and Mount Wilson diverge. For a more detailed account of the approach to this point, see my El Diente video, which I will include a link to. Here I'll provide a brief overview of the approach. So, enjoy the footage. From the trailhead, near 10,100 feet, go initially through a large meadow, then through areas of forests and meadows, with the gradually inclining path not gaining much elevation on this stretch. After about 2.5 miles, stay to the right at this trail junction. Not long after the trail junction, cross Kilpacker Creek near 10,400 feet. After crossing the creek, continue for a little while longer on an overall gradual incline through more meadows and woods. Before long, though, the path becomes steeper and rockier as it ascends higher into the basin. Eventually, the route winds up through some rocky mounds on the left side of a head wall. After this, continue up through the talus on the decently marked path until it reaches the Mount Wilson El Diente route intersection near 12,600 feet. So good morning. It's about 8:45 here on Friday the 13th of September 2024. I'm here in the Kilpacker Basin following the last faint stretches of the Kilpacker Trail up from the trailhead. I'm at about 12,600 feet here in the basin, and I've reached the point at this talus pile right here. I've reached the point where if you were going to climb the South Slopes route up El Diente, which is right up there, this is where you would stop heading east and start up the slopes here up toward El Diente. However, this morning I am attempting the southwest slopes route up Mount Wilson, which is up ahead higher in the basin there, as you can see, and I will be veering in a slightly northeast direction from here and trying to follow what markers and segments of path there are up through the rest of this basin, and you can see toward Mount Wilson itself up there. And so don't be intimidated now, although if you are, I understand. So I'm going to try to get started up through the rest of the basin here. So from the position I was standing in just back there, I've come up a little bit, and there's up toward the El Diente route there, but I am going to stay this direction to try to head up the route to Mount Wilson and see if I can just follow whatever markers there are, like I said, up the basin that direction. Hopefully there's some good indications along the way here. I mean, it's pretty evident the overall area I need to be headed up in, so should go okay, I imagine. And there are some indications of segments of path up here, sort of beaten down, indented areas, and a few noticeable markers, so doing pretty good so far. Well, I'm still headed in a roughly northeast direction through the upper part of the basin here on the north side of the basin, on the left side of it. It's proven to be pretty well marked, discernible path so far on this stretch. About 13,000 feet here in the upper part of the basin. Now at this point, I'm going to want to angle up into this opening, this drainage that you see right here. Go up into that. So now I'm on some fairly loose, fairly steep talus here. Not too bad yet though. So now it's gotten to be some more stable but larger talus up here. The path is less discernible, but there are a few markers, and at any rate it's evident roughly where I need to be going, which is within the confines of this overall drainage here. Now some talus and boulder hopping as I get up higher. Well, it's kind of a steep and grueling haul up these boulders. It's really pretty direct. So I have veered away from and am staying to the left of this talus pile right here. as I continue up the boulders. I think I'm in the vicinity of 13.7 at this point. Just still making my way up through these rugged boulders and this drainage. There are some markers. They're getting to be a little fewer and farther between now, but still doing pretty well. Alright, there's looking back down toward the basin, and up here closer, the part of the stretch of boulders I've been coming up. And up here now, at this juncture, I'm going to want to avoid that nasty terrain straight ahead. So the solution is to, I believe, go up that slope there, and then at the toward the top of that and at the base of the cliffs, you turn right and kind of traverse across those rocks to the right of that slope. I'm going to try to make that happen. So now I am engaging that aforementioned slope, which at the bottom of it is just more larger rocks, but at this point it's going to become largely some, looks like more annoying loose gravel. Yep. Okay, so right now, at least for the time being, I was able to move away from that looser side of the slope and onto this side. So I'm still going up this slope, and toward the top of it here, you've got loose gravel on the left side and medium-sized loose talus on this side. So I've come over to this side and hoping that if need be I can utilize the wall on the right here, grab onto that. Seems to be working. See here. Well, I'll try exiting up that way. That looks steep. I'll try exiting this way. To the right. Some looseness here to negotiate as well. Nope. Light touch on this stuff. Okay, looks like up this way.
So beneath these cliffs here, this is pretty neat, by the way, isn't it? Beneath these cliffs here, I'm at about 13.8, I think. So I got, I think, between another 400 and 500 more vertical feet to get to the top. So you see the direction of that right there, and I need to continue to traverse below the cliffs right here until I get to the gully that's to the left. There's that rock in the middle there. I need to get to that gully that's to the left of that, go part of the way up that, I believe, cross over that rock, and then reach the upper part of the gully that's to the right of that rock and ascend that. And then at the end of that, you reach, I believe, the final stretch, the final pitch to the very top. Try around to this right part. Pretty loose gravel here, be careful. Well, I mean, that's a rock. This is the gully. That's a rock. I just need to stay to the left of, so I think I could either go that way around this rock or that way. I think I may try this way around this. I'm not sure this is the best thing, but looseness does present a hazard. Continue around this side of this smaller block, or go right up here. I think I'm just going to go right up here. I can see what's right here. I can't seem to see quite around that corner to the left, so this looks good. So this is the main part of that lower gully. Oops. looks like here, if I can maybe stay on this left side, utilize rock wall. Pathway up there in order to go across that rib. Trickiest part I can see is getting across right here. I think right here. Move down a little bit further, get a better angle at this. That was kind of tricky. I'm at the top of this rock ridge, rock in the middle, and I need to go down it a little bit in order to get to the second gully. sun in my face here. Okay. Here's the upper gully. Looks like another scenario of staying on the left, utilizing the wall. here's the final pitch up this mountain. I'm thinking at least it looks fairly solid, and looks like there are a number of possible lines you could take. That notch back there is probably at about 14.1, so about 150 more vertical feet to go. Wobbly rock there. Here. Okay, coming back down to the notch. Whoops. Gully here. What I got my eye on is way down there where you see that rock sticking sideways is where I need to cross back over the rock, the rib rock in the middle, and get to the other gully. Oh gosh, I think this wall is right here. Even it doesn't have much to grab onto right here. Up here from down there was about the hardest thing on the ascent, so I think I went up over in there. Now I don't know if I went down. I might choose this. Okay, I think I went up right there. Okay, let's I'm going to try to go down that way. Now we'll see how I have to orient myself. Might have to turn around the other way. Alright, it's working so far. And come back down climbing it. I think I am going to turn around slightly. We got that. Now, come back up and cross the rib. So, now this could be the most treacherous stretch on the descent. Steep and loose part. Yeah, look at this. Yeah, this is not pretty, I'll tell you that. You can't even be sure you can trust some of these talus those cliffs right there. Okay. Very methodical procedure here. Okay. Glad it's calmer down here off the summit than it was at the summit. It's windy and cold up there. My hands have warmed back up again. Back at this annoying slope again. Around here, damn talus. Oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy. So I need to get back down to there, not this side. So I'm gonna have to, I think I'm gonna go down and then over there. And I'm gonna have to enter into some of this talus though. Again, these rocks are pretty solid. Avoid that crap over there. Descended that loose slope, and the next thing is don't go over there, but rather down here and re-enter this kind of drainage that I came up through. Still coming down this drainage section that I talked about before. I'm through with that lengthy drainage stretch, as you can see, and now I'm back on the upper drainage, upper basin. Alright, I'm back down to 12,600 feet. If you can believe I was all the way up there not too long ago. I'm back down to 12.6 at the El Diente trail turnoff, and still got a long ways to go through the rest of the basin and the lower approach hike. So keep going.
So the trip up and down this mountain from the trailhead and back took me a total of about 8 hours and 50 minutes, with nearly 4.5 of that to reach the top, around 30 minutes spent at the top, and close to another 4 hours on the descent and return. And of course, as always, this includes the fumblings of documentation. Overall, it was definitely one of the more difficult mountains I've climbed. The final pitch presents perhaps the most enjoyable climbing section of the route, as it is on mostly reasonably solid rock. But for me, the most difficult section of the route was probably the gullies just below the final summit stretch, largely due to the looseness they present. I'd say the crux is the part that crosses over the rock separating the one gully from the other, particularly the move just prior to entering the second gully on the ascent. So considering all this, when approaching this mountain, or indeed any of the peaks in this group, in addition to the physical, logistical, and weather prerequisites, definitely study the route before attempting it. Now that I've climbed all 3 of the 14ers in this group, I'll try to provide some comparisons. Although the standard routes on all 3 involve low to moderate endurance stats from the closest trailheads, all involve careful route finding, considerable loose terrain, and Class 3 climbing. That being said, I found Mount Wilson and El Diente to be a bit more of a challenge than Wilson Peak, both in terms of the endurance stats and with regard to climbing challenges. Of these 2, I want to say it's almost a toss-up for which is the more difficult. While Mount Wilson presents slightly greater endurance stats, I think El Diente poses more complicated route finding and maybe slightly greater climbing challenges. So I would say for overall difficulty, El Diente just slightly takes the distinction. Nevertheless, the fact remains that Mount Wilson is the highest and the central and anchoring peak in this ruggedly stunning and majestic group of mountains, its center of geometric and aesthetic gravity. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next mountain.